Today we're going to be looking at the greatest NBA seasons that didn't win MVP. This should be very interesting, so let's not take any more time. Intro, come on in, talk to the people, and then let's react. Okay, reactors, welcome back to the channel, the Nuclear Reactor, the reaction channel where all the reactions go nuclear. Before we get into this video, if y'all are a sports fan, go over to my sports channel, Ring Culture, link in the description. But back over here, Planet Nuclear Reactor, y'all know I believe every action deserves a reaction. And over here, we are very reactionary. Make sure y'all like and comment. That's how y'all get me into the algorithm. And then I'll go get them. When my content hit them and fit them and sit with them. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so y'all can be notified every time I upload, and I upload a lot. Share my videos and hype my channel. So today, my sports fans, come back up to the front, sports fans. We're going to spend some time together today. I know I do a lot of different genres, so we need the sports fans up front today. So today we're going to be checking out Hoop Files, the greatest NBA seasons that didn't win an MVP. This should be great. I cannot wait to check this video out and see if there's any seasons on there that I might agree with or disagree with. So let's react.
Every year, one player gets to take home the MVP trophy. But sometimes the greatest seasons in NBA history don't win anything. This is the 10 best NBA seasons that never won an MVP. Tracy McGrady. In 2003, T-Mac was on a completely different level. That season with Orlando, he averaged 32.1 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists a night. He won the scoring title with ease, but those numbers don't really tell the whole story. Every single night, he was the only thing standing between the magic and irrelevance. The roster was banged up and lacking star power, and
it was lacking star power, and Doc Rivers was their coach. I mean, it's hard to overcome it's hard to overcome star power deficit. But when you got a coach like Doc Rivers, whew, he had no chance.
Lacking star power, and at times it felt like he was going 1-on-5 just to keep them afloat. There was a stretch late in the season where he scored 40 or more in 5 straight games, including a 52-point explosion against the Bulls. He looked like the most unguardable player alive. And yet, when it came time to crown an MVP, voters gave it to Tim Duncan, who led the Spurs to 60 wins and another top seed. Duncan was incredible, no doubt, but for fans watching night after night, there was this feeling that T-Mac was doing something even more impressive by carrying a team with almost no help into the playoffs purely on talent and willpower. That season is still one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. What if he had another superstar? What if injuries didn't derail his career? Because for that one season, he looked like the future of basketball, and it's almost unthinkable that he didn't walk away with MVP.
Yeah, he was nice, bro.
Charles Barkley. By 1990, Charles Barkley was a force.
There was an MVP race, and it was either 87, 88, or 89. I can't remember which year, but the top 5 or 6 people on the MVP contender for MVP, any one of them could have won it, and I wouldn't even been bat an eye. It was just that absurd, that MVP race. I can't remember which year it was, but it was one of those 3 years, 87, 88, or 89. It was insane.
Barkley was a force of nature. That season, he averaged 25.2 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, shooting an absurd 60% from the field.
Damn!
He carried the 76ers to a surprising 53 wins, securing the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. He was everywhere, snatching rebounds, muscling through contact.
And those Sixers teams, they really didn't have a viable number 2 for him, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, they didn't have a viable guy that you could legitimately call a solid number two. I mean, they had a couple of guys back then. They had Hersey Hawkins. They had that point guard named Dawkins, not Daryl Dawkins, but they had a point guard named Dawkins who was pretty good. The Johnny Dawkins. They had Mike Jabinsky. Like, they didn't really have no supporting cast with Barkley back then. So, yeah.
He was everywhere, snatching rebounds, muscling through contact, and leading fast breaks. Many considered it the peak of his early career, arguing he was the most unstoppable player in the league at the time. Despite his dominance, MVP voters gave the award to Magic Johnson, whose Lakers won 63 games.
Damn.
Magic was spectacular, but many felt Barkley had single-handedly dragged a less talented 76ers roster further than anyone expected. Even decades later, Barkley himself has said that 1990 was the best he ever played, yet it's remembered as a season where the numbers screamed MVP, but the trophy found a different home.
Wow.
A testament to Barkley's unparalleled force and the subjective nature of MVP voting.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic. After winning back-to-back MVPs, he entered the 2022-23 season chasing history. Winning a third straight MVP would have placed him in an exclusive club with Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Larry Bird.
Yeah.
His play was every bit worthy of that as he averaged 24.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 9.8 assists, nearly a triple-double, while shooting a ridiculous 63% from the field.
Damn!
In typical Jokic fashion, his advanced metrics were off the charts. His PER and win shares ranked among the best individual seasons of all time. On top of that, the Nuggets finished first in the Western Conference for the first time in franchise history.
Wow, he should have won it.
But when it came time to vote, the award went to Joel Embiid, who also had a dominant season.
He was balling too.
A significant factor was mounting voter fatigue against Jokic after his consecutive wins, which tipped the narrative in Embiid's favor.
That started to happen to Michael Jordan too. It was this running narrative that people were getting tired of voting for him. Just like Joker and what happened with Jordan back then, I hate that. You can't get tired of voting for somebody. If they're the MVP, they're the MVP. Yeah, so I hate stuff like that.
Which tipped the narrative in Embiid's favor. The ultimate irony? After losing the MVP, he absolutely rampaged through the playoffs, averaging a triple-double and leading Denver to its first ever NBA championship.
Wow.
His postseason run proved what the regular season voters missed, that Nikola Jokic might already be one of the most valuable players in NBA history.
Oh, most definitely.
Steph Curry. When the 2020-21 season tipped off, the Warriors were in shambles. Klay was out with another injury, KD was gone, and the dynasty felt like a distant memory. But Steph wasn't done. That year, he delivered a masterclass, reminding everyone why he's the greatest shooter to ever play the game. He averaged an astonishing 32 points per game, taking home the scoring title, and knocked down an absurd 337 threes. He single-handedly carried a depleted Golden State team to 39 wins, nearly dragging them into the playoffs despite every opposing defense selling out just to stop him. But MVP voters ultimately rewarded Nikola Jokic, whose Nuggets finished with a much better record.
Yeah.
Many analysts believe that no single player carried a heavier offensive burden or faced more defensive attention than Curry that year. It was Steph's ultimate reminder season, a year where without championships or a super team, he demonstrated his ability to bend the entire league to his will. Magic Johnson. In 1989, Magic was still the undeniable beating heart of the Showtime Lakers. Even as Kareem's career wound down, Magic elevated his game to keep Los Angeles squarely at the top of the Western Conference.
Magic was
that
crazy.
season, he put up a truly spectacular all-around stat line. He averaged 22.5 points, 12.8 assists, and 7.9 rebounds, which was one of the...
Hold up, bruh. Magic Johnson was balling.
He averaged 22.5 points, 12.8 assists, and 7.9 rebounds, which was one of the best statistical campaigns of his career. He guided the Lakers to 57 wins, secured the top seed, and orchestrated their iconic fast-paced offense with unmatched vision and flair. Despite being the clear leader of one of the league's premier teams, the MVP award went to Michael Jordan. He had a statistically incredible season, averaging 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2.9 steals. Magic finished as the MVP runner-up, even while leading his team.
Magic should not have won the MVP, but this is a great season. Good Lord.
Leading his team to another NBA Finals appearance and maintaining his elite play. For many fans, 1989 remains one of the most underappreciated seasons of Magic's career, a clear MVP-level campaign overshadowed by the irresistible rise of Jordan's individual dominance. Damian Lillard. The 2019 to 2020 season was absolutely brutal for the Blazers. Injuries piled up, their depth vanished, and the Blazers seemed destined to slip out of playoff contention. Until Dame decided he had other plans. He averaged 30 points and 8 assists for the season, but it was his ridiculous late-season explosion in the Orlando bubble that truly defined his year. In those high-stakes, must-win seeding games, he dropped 51, 61, and 42 points in 3 consecutive outings, single-handedly dragging Portland into the postseason. But MVP voting ultimately rewarded Giannis Antetokounmpo, whose Bucks dominated the regular season. Lillard's incredible late-season heroics.
I'm pretty sure Lillard did have a great season, but I'm pretty sure that year Giannis definitely deserved an MVP. I got to go back and look at the numbers though, but yeah.
Weren't enough to overcome Portland's relatively mediocre overall record. Still, that season became a defining chapter in the Game Time lore. His bubble performance alone stands as one of the most valuable individual stretches in recent memory. Allen Iverson. By 2006, AI had already cemented himself as one of the toughest pound-for-pound players in NBA history. But this season was different. It was one of those years where every single night felt like Iverson was carrying the weight of an entire franchise on his back. At 33 points, 7.4 assists, and 2 steals per game, he wasn't just scoring, he was doing everything. He also led the NBA in minutes played, and defensively, despite being undersized, he was still hounding ball handlers, jumping passing lanes, and giving Philly any chance they had to win. What made it even more insane was the lack of help around him. The Sixers didn't have another reliable star. Night after night, defenses trapped him, blitzed him off screens, and dared anyone else to beat them. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, Steve Nash was putting on an offensive clinic with the 7 seconds or less Suns, leading them to one of the top records in the league.
Wow.
Nash deserved this MVP, but the context was wildly different. He had Amari Stoudemire, Shawn Marion, and a roster perfectly tailored to his skill set.
Them Suns
AI
teams were
had barely
man.
anyone. That's why so many fans still argue that 2006 was one of the most valuable seasons of his career. He was the Sixers' heartbeat, their identity, and their only shot to compete in a stacked Eastern Conference. Even without the trophy, that season stands as one of AI's ultimate I'll-do-it-myself campaigns. Russell Westbrook. When people talk about Russell Westbrook's MVP year in 2017, they always mention the triple-doubles, the fire, and the way he carried OKC after KD left. But the truth is, Russ had another MVP-caliber season before that. A year that feels almost forgotten now. In 2014 to 15, OKC's season was chaotic, to say the least. KD missed most of the year with a foot injury, Serge Ibaka went down, and suddenly it was just Russ against the world. He averaged 28.1 points, 8.6 assists, and 7.3 rebounds per game. He led the league in scoring and did it while shouldering one of the highest usage rates we've ever seen. He had nights where he dropped 40 and even a career-high 54 points against the Pacers. He played with that trademark with unrelenting energy. There was a stretch in February where he recorded 4 triple-doubles in a row, something that hadn't been done in decades. He even played through a broken face at one point, rocking a mask and still dominating. Despite all of that, despite dragging a battered Thunder team to 45 wins and keeping them in the playoff race until the final day, the MVP went to Steph. Steph led the Warriors to 67 wins and revolutionized the game with his shooting, so voters sided with team success over raw individual impact. But ask anyone who watched Russ that year, it felt like he was doing the impossible. Night after night, he refused to let the Thunder sink, putting up video game numbers and playing with a level of intensity that few players in history have matched. It was one of the most valuable seasons we've ever seen, just without the hardware to prove it. Shaquille O'Neal. The year after Shaq's dominant MVP run in 2000, he somehow got even better. In 2000 to 2001, Shaq averaged 28.7 points, 12.7 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and nearly 3 blocks per game while shooting over 57% from the field.
That's crazy.
He was an unstoppable force inside. The Lakers were coming off a field. Nearly 3 points, 12.7 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and nearly 3 blocks per game. While
So y'all hear me talk about this a lot, about how centers back then, the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, used to go after everything. That's why that block totals was so high back then. Almost 3 blocks a game is like the low end of what those centers back there used to do consistently. Yeah, that's crazy.
For 57% from the field. He was an unstoppable force inside.
Get that out of here.
The Lakers were coming off a championship, and he was the centerpiece of everything they did, offensively and defensively. But when the MVP voting came around, the trophy went to Allen Iverson, who led the Sixers to the East's best record and had an incredible season of his own. AI scoring an underdog narrative captured voters' hearts. Still, many argued that Shaq was simply the most dominant player alive. When the playoffs arrived, that argument only got louder. Shaq absolutely destroyed opponents en route to another championship. Looking back now, it's clear. Iverson had the story, but Shaq had the impact. 2001 was another MVP level campaign from the most unstoppable physical force the game has ever seen. And somehow, it didn't come with a trophy. Kevin Garnett. By 2003, KG had been dominating the league for nearly a decade, but this was the year he truly became a complete monster on both ends of the floor. He averaged 23 points, 13.4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.6 blocks per game. Numbers that barely even capture his impact. He relentlessly helped carry them to 51 wins in a loaded Western Conference. But that season's MVP voting was a war zone. Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Kobe, and Shaq were all in the mix. Duncan ultimately won it again, T-Mac finished second, and Garnett landed in third despite being the most versatile and well-rounded player in the league that year. Looking back, it feels like KG's greatness was almost too advanced for voters at the time. His defense didn't show up in the box score the same way his scoring did, and his playmaking as a big man wasn't fully appreciated yet. With the way the game has evolved, a season like Garnett's in 2003 might win MVP without question. Even without the trophy, that year was a defining chapter in KG's career. A season where he cemented himself as one of the most complete players the NBA had ever seen. Every NBA season has its MVP, but the hardware doesn't always tell the whole story. Maybe that's the point? An MVP award is about a single vote, but a legacy is bigger than that. It's those unforgettable seasons, the ones people talk about decades later and point to when they argue who really meant the most to their team. Because the greatest seasons in NBA history aren't just defined by a trophy, they're defined by the moments that we just can't forget.
Straight up.
And if you love breaking down these kinds of moments and exploring deeper stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, those were some eye-opening seasons, but some of them definitely should have been runner-up and shouldn't have won. But a lot of MVP seasons, you're going to see, like, you know, guys underneath runners up to MVP, second runner-up, third runner-up, all worthy of MVP. So this video was great, but because I expect that a runner-up for MVP and even a third guy, sometimes the fourth guy, are all worthy of winning MVP. Those were some great seasons on that list. Y'all tell me which one of those seasons y'all think should have actually won the MVP down below, and I'll be down there with y'all. And always remember, the pleasure is always all mine. The reaction, well, that belongs to y'all. I love y'all. Peace.